Hello everyone, Gail here. For those who don't know me, I am an indie developer working on a survival horror game inspired by Silent Hill, The Long Dark, and Stranger Things. And in this video, I want to talk about how making video games saved my life. But before I jump into that, I want to tell you about a Discord server I have created for solo developers like me need to a support network when they're working on their games but unfortunately don't have the budget to hire team members. In this group, you can show your progress and get feedback from the other members, and everything is kept under NDA so you'll feel safe to share your work. So if you're interested to join, check the link in the description below. So now back at the topic of this video, I know this is very personal, but I felt like I wanted to share my story because growing up, I was always this kid that is in the background and basically very quiet and, pretty much invisible. My environment wasn't very supportive. I wasn't very good at school and I didn't have many friends. And honestly, for the longest time, I thought that I was dumb. I was born in December, so I was usually the youngest in the class. And I believed that I was dumb because I was the youngest. But turns out that I have a really good reason as to why I had these struggles growing up that I'll tell you in a minute. So yeah, basically growing up feeling dumb and inferior to the rest of my peers made me basically not have any self-esteem and I was really depressed. When I finished high school, I wanted to study to be a teacher in primary education, so I enrolled in university. And for the next 3 years, I studied a degree. And at the end, I did an internship in a public school. And I absolutely hated it because for me, being a teacher meant, helping kids growing into the best version of themselves and supporting them. And while I was doing this internship, I was basically just shouting at kids non-stop and just forcing them to do stuff they didn't want without really explaining why and just forcing them to not be themselves. So that made me feel terrible, especially since that had been my experience growing up. So I realized that I didn't want to be a teacher for the rest of my life. So when I finished this degree at 21, I basically had no job experience because up until now I had been studying all my life. And also at that time in Spain, where I'm from, there was this huge job crisis and it was really difficult to find a job. And especially for somebody like me who was struggling with anxiety, especially social anxiety, with no work experience and a lot of insecurities. And on top of that, my environment wasn't very supportive either. So basically, I spent my 20s very depressed. I was having very dark thoughts almost every day. I had no money, I couldn't be independent, I was still living with my parents. And because of this, I had a strong want to having my own business and finding a way to make money doing something that worked for me and wouldn't make me anxious. So that's why I started learning graphic design, how to make logos, website, and I tried to go freelance with this, but even though I was enjoying doing that kind of work, it didn't really work out because again, my confidence issues make it really difficult for me to put my work out there and try to get clients, but it was a good learning experience. And fast forward to 2017, I discovered game dev and I immediately knew that I wanted to make games as a career because I was also an avid gamer and a huge nerd, as you can see. So yeah, I immediately felt that making video games as a career was probably gonna be a really good choice for me, especially since one of my favorite places was just being at my computer is where I felt the safest. So yeah, at the time, I was still learning, so I wasn't very good, but I was learning game dev in the background while I was trying to look for a job. And funny enough, I got a job as a cabin crew for Ryanair, which, even though the job per se was terrible, it really helped me because thanks to that, I came here to UK where I've been living since. And this, to be honest, was one of the best things that could have happened to me because thanks to this, I could leave the unsupportive environment and have a fresh start. And later on, I met my partner, who is also super supportive of me and has helped me gain a lot of balance in my life. So I'm very grateful for that. So because I was feeling more stable in my life and also a bit more confident, I decided to pursue game dev more seriously, which led me to get a job as a Unity programmer for a small studio called Squid Shop. This was about 2 years ago. And yeah, this was my first job in the game industry. And I was so happy because I could finally do a job that I was very passionate about. So for the first time in my life, I wasn't anxious every day. Unfortunately, just by pure chance, I also discovered why I had been struggling so much during my childhood and 20s. And turns out that I have dyslexia, dyscalculia, and autism. Discovering this made me feel again very self-conscious of my abilities because all these conditions are considered disabilities. So I started to see myself as limited, and that all the struggles that I had in the past made total sense to me now. And I started to see myself as disabled and thought that I couldn't really accomplish much more in life than what I had already accomplished. And especially I thought that since I had dyscalculia and dyslexia, it was going to be difficult for me to progress as a programmer. So because of that, I decided to have a change in career to doing art because I also knew how to do 3D, and especially I like doing characters, so I started working in my portfolio as a 3D character artist for around 6 months. And when my job at the Squid Sock finished, I started to apply for jobs as a character artist, but my portfolio wasn't very good yet. I was still very beginner, which is something that I talk about in my previous video where you can go and watch here. So I was getting rejections all the time, and I think having so many rejections and not be able to find a job was actually a blessing in disguise, because it's thanks to that I decided to work on my game instead. And thanks to that, my mental health and my confidence has never been this better. For the first time in my life, I'm super happy every day. I'm excited, even though I eventually have to find a part-time job to pay the bills. I know that having that time to work on my game and just basically doing what I love is helping my mental health so much. So yeah, even if my game is not successful and I never make money working on this, I'm still satisfied and proud of myself, that I found this and I'm following through. And little by little, I'm getting my confidence back. And now I don't care if I have disabilities or not. I'm just gonna do what makes me happy. And that is also one of the reasons why I'm doing YouTube, because I know it's going to help me with my confidence and to feel like I'm not invisible, I'm also important. So yeah, I guess that part of my life got a good ending. So I'm very grateful to have found this career path, and also the game dev community is super supportive. So if you want to follow my game dev journey, please like this video and subscribe to the channel. And you can also watch this next video, and I'll see you there. Bye!